Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. Unpacking black people defending white people. Is this biblical unity? Now, before we get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button there. I want to unpack a YouTube video clip, and this was the title: Candace Owens, BLM, and DOC. And then notice it said, "White Lives Matter." This was put on by the YouTube channel Center for Biblical Unity. More on that later. And it was put out, of course, in last October 13th. And I'm going to, as you can probably see, I just pulled it off of YouTube here. It was an hour and a half long, but there was a clip where they talk about White Lives Matter, or more important, the Kanye, excuse me, White Lives Matter sign. I mean, it's here, that controversy that came up, as you can see, Candace Owens and Kanye West, who wore this White Lives Matter. Okay, now I'm not here to really get into the Candace Owens and Kanye foolishness. Okay, however, what I am going to talk about, what I want to get into, is the Center for Biblical Unity, Monique Duson. This is her channel, and this is, you see, this is her video that she a part of her YouTube channel. Okay. And a couple of things, I've done videos before on her, and one of the reasons why I am kind of doing a few videos on a couple of topics that she has covered, there were two two things that grabbed my attention about her YouTube channel. One, the title, Center for Biblical Unity, and if we're going to see, it really had absolutely nothing to do with biblical unity. More on that later. But another reason was her position as to why she even started this channel. Okay, so let me give you a taste.
I've clearly stated that I started Center for Biblical Unity to defend white people. You can go back and you can look on a ton of my interviews where I've said that was my sole reason for starting CFBU, was to be able to use my voice on behalf of white people that I didn't see. I didn't see any black people coming out.
Now, more on that later, but I wanted you to hear from her own words the sole reason she started Center for Unity, Center for Biblical Unity, was to defend white people. And I found that disturbing, among a lot of things, but the fact that, of course, it comes in the name of Christianity, in the name of the Bible, because if you notice, she said her sole reason for starting the channel was to defend white people, not even white Christians, but white people. And I want to unpack that because there's a lot to unpack. Excuse me. A little on Monique. She is part of a growing group of black conservatives, okay? And what they all have in common, as you see a few of the more popular faces today: Larry Elders, of course, Vody Bachman, the Queen Bee herself, Candace Owens, the patriarch himself, excuse me, the patriarch of the, excuse me, I'm still kind of overcoming the flu, guys, so, but the patriarch himself, Thomas Sowell, and to me, nutcase, Jesse Lee Pearson. And so black conservative, they all have in common defending white people. In other words, what they all have in common, this is what they all, that's right there. They support that. They defend it. That's what they exist for. Now, Monique, as you heard, she said the quiet parts out loud. Now, I want to unpack the segment of the video, the show that they put on, and then of course I'm going to just again I actually broke it down into really 19 segments. So, and I'm going to again I want to unpack it. So here we go. Let's start with the kind of intro here.
I don't know what they're trying to do. That it's lost on me. It is lost on me. What's that?
Let me before I get started here. Before I get started, um, let me just say that again, what they're talking about is this White Lives Matter from Kanye. So that's what they're talking about. They're talking about that, and they're going to be discussing that. Now, let me set this up too, because I think it's kind of important. Let me set this up. So what you have here, let me move some stuff around here. Move my screen over. All right. So here are the players of this show. So Kevin Briggs is their guest, I guess, and I think they frequently do shows with him. So Monique Duson is her channel along with Krista Bontrager. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because here you have Krista and Monique, and if you go on the channel, you see a lot of their stuff that they do together. Now, in the case when it comes to, now remember, Monique said, and by the way, that clip that I played at first comes from this segment here, and we'll see it later. Okay, I'm gonna let it kind of play more in its context and its fullness. But that's what she said. So, as a growing, I think with black conservatives, one of the problems I have with black conservatives, and then of course even more so from those who call themselves Christians. And she comes, and notice that the name of her YouTube channel is Center for Biblical Unity. And right off the bat, she destroyed that whole title by saying that she's there to defend white people. Not black people, not Hispanics, not Asians, but black people. I mean white people. So how can you have biblical unity if you start off the gate? If you walk into the NAACP, and I'm being facetious here, and she walks into the NAACP and say the first thing she says is, I'm here to defend white people, what kind of unity is she going to achieve? Right off the bat, I'm here to defend white people. She doesn't even say good or bad, Christian, non-Christian, white people. And you're going to see this come out in these clips. And we're going to probably end up doing several videos on it. Part 1, part 2, I don't know how many parts we get down. Because again, I broke this 17-minute clip up into almost 20 videos. But I'm going to talk about each one of them. That's why I wanted to take my time and go through this and unpack this defense of white people. What is disturbing is the fact that she's... Now, let me go back to this one thing here. So, a black conservative. Now, this is a cross-section here. Not all of them come in the name of Christianity. Okay? Well, other than Reverend Jesse Lee Peters, Monique and Vody Bachman are two of the most probably outspoken Christians, people who call themselves Christians, okay? And yet they have what they have in common, especially like Vody Bachman. If those of you who don't know who Vody Bachman is, he's a Southern Baptist conservative, black conservative Christian. And he's famous, he's wide in the circles that he travels in. He's very popular. Why? Because the same thing with Monique said, defense of white people. And even to the point that he even been on Ben Shapiro's show, Glenn Beck's show, who is a Mormon. So get that now. All right, so Monique has been on other channels. Let me bring her up again. She's been on other, again, white conservative Christian. And again, I've done other videos on her about this. So, but I wanted to kind of set this up because they come from the perspective. Now, I don't know always why they're doing that. For example, Candace Owens is a grifter. I understand her game. But when a person like Monique comes up and says, Center for Biblical Unity, and then right off the gate, she makes the statement, but I'm here to defend, solely here to defend white people. As if white people need to defend it. But of course, we can ask the question, what are you defending? Now, I'll also say this as a disclaimer. She has had her channel for a number of years. And so she has hundreds of videos. And so obviously I have not listened to all of her videos. Okay, I'm highlighting this one that I heard. But obviously there are other videos that she has produced. So I can't tell you I'm giving you the whole of her thought. But this is enough. Okay, this is enough. All right, so this is the beginning of the segment here.
I don't know what they're trying to do. That it's lost on me. It is lost on me. What say you before I say what I gotta say?
I don't know what it was attempting to accomplish. Right? I don't know what the strategy outside of gaining attention and publicity. I don't know what the strategy was. I think we'll agree with the statement, just like we'll agree with the statement that Black Lives Matter. But I don't get I don't get what was behind the T-shirt outside of simply shock and awe, clicks, attention, promoting her new documentary that was about to drop.
Okay, so right there, I want you to see how it starts off, which I agree. The reason why Kanye and Candace, okay, wore the shirts was for clickbait, publicity. So now watch how it changed as they move forward, and then also why it changed, meaning Krista is going to be triggered by them, okay, and their lack of what she perceives as support for the boasting of saying the White Lives Matter.
Promoting her new documentary that was about to drop.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, for somebody who didn't know what was going to happen, I thought it was very convenient that it happened just a couple of days before your documentary dropped.
Now, I want you to keep your eyes on Christian as well. Notice her reaction. Again, see, because she's the trigger here. And her response is going to be pretty much what I expect from someone like Krista. And remember, Monique is the defender of Krista, the white person. Okay?
You're not suggesting it was like a coordinated publicity thing.
Yeah, I am. Oh. Yeah, that is exactly what I'm saying. I was, I was a little taken aback by it. And I didn't like the shirts at all, because do I think white lives matter? Of course, like human life matters. Like,
remember, it's her sole reason for being on YouTube to defend white people. So yes, she is not. She doesn't like the optics, but she certainly stands by the phrase.
We can get past that, people. But the same way I wouldn't, wear a BLM shirt. Now, this is me as a Christian. I don't know what their, the state of their soul and relationship with God is. Me as a Christian.
Well, first of all, they never claim. She's really conflating two issues here. The Christianity part has nothing to do with this. Candace Owens never said she was a Christian. Now Kanye probably said he was a Christian, but okay, well, you know how that goes. But the Christian or biblical position here, that's irrelevant for this, for what she is defending. When she says she's here solely to defend white people, it has nothing to do with the Bible, right? It has absolutely nothing to do with the Bible. Oh, here we go.
I don't want to continue to sow division and discord. I think my position
Exactly.
overall sows division and discord, you know, among people overall. But
now what's interesting is notice she is very aware of what her position, the effect of her position. So keep that in mind. And she very much then means to sow discord. She very much means in favor of white people. That's her mission statement. Her sole reason for starting the YouTube channel was not to bring whites and blacks together, but to defend white people, she said. Because white people are the victims. White people don't have a voice. White people, she says, which is asinine, but has nothing to do with, or let me tell you this, she is absolutely, for the sole purpose, sowing discord in favor of defending white people.
I feel like it was an intentional nudge or an intentional like pick at people, and it's just like
it could be like Alyssa says a comment here. It's not like maybe what the point of it is it's not great to be racist against white people.
And let me just say this right here when she says that it is not great, that they're going to expound on that statement. Okay? They're going to expound on that. Make no mistake about it. They're going to expound. And Miss Krista herself, I almost can call her a Karen, however I won't. But notice what she is highlighting. The comments, you know, because this is a live show, the comments that they're going to highlight and applaud. Okay, let's.
I think that's the most gracious way of thinking about it.
I think that is, yeah, that's gracious, and I think that they get. Here's the thing: I don't think you can play both sides, or you know, like you can't be like, well, Black Lives Matter shirts need to go away, but then you wear a White Lives Matter shirt. Like you have to think about like how are you inviting people into a conversation that's actually going to be helpful, or are you just using your platform to play a game? And I don't find this as being a game.
Could be using it to point out the hypocrisy, which I think is an interesting theory. Is that you know?
Okay, now I would ask her the same question. How is she, by her platform, attempting to draw people into a conversation? Or what people is she attempting to? She's going to kind of voice this later. But what conversation, and who is the conversation you want to have with? Okay? Now, she says something here. I got to kind of make sure because I don't get it. But she said something here in a moment that that I'm going to I want to highlight. Now listen to this here.
Saying, well, if you can't say, you don't want me to say Black Lives Matter, well, I'm going to say White Lives Matter. You know, it's just
I think that's clear what they were doing. I think that's actually what they said they were doing. To point out the fact that Black Lives Matter was a fraudulent organization and all this stuff was a mess. But the way you go about doing.
All right. So I'm going to come back to that here, but I understand something here. Again, I want you to pay attention to Krista's her facial expression and her entire how she's triggered. And it's going to catch the other two off guard. All right. Okay, let's watch.
Which I think is an interesting theory, is that, you know, the hypocrisy of saying, well, if you can't say, you don't want me to say Black Lives Matter, well, I'm going to say White Lives Matter. You know, it's.
So you tell me, what hypocrisy? Now, in order to understand this, we kind of have to kind of go back to a little history here. We have to kind of do a little history of what was the purpose of the phrase Black Lives Matter, which they are totally dismissing. In other words, they're acting like, okay, wait a minute. Notice, and you're going to see, they're going to applaud the phrase White Lives Matter while totally ignoring why the phrase Black Lives Matter came. So this idea of the trying to push back against people talking against racism, and that's what this is. That's what Christians getting ready. You're going to see her get more increasingly triggered by the fact that, and she's going to even actually somewhat rebuke them by saying, "I'm surprised, Monique, that you didn't come out more forceful in favor of saying White Lives Matter." More on that later. But you see, this idea of what a lot of these black conservatives are doing in their defense of white people, some of them are doing it because it's an audience. It's a way of growing their audience. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's not about truth. Because if you notice, so far, they have not opened one scripture. The Center for Biblical Unity, not one scripture open up. Secondly, they're not going to even go into what is truth and what is not truth. Now, again, in other videos they do, but but understand what's going on here.
Yeah. I think that's clear what they were doing. I think that's actually what they said they were doing. To point out the fact that Black Lives Matter was a fraudulent organization and all this stuff was a mess. But the way you go about doing it was simply a way to kind of, they knew the reaction it was going to cause, right? And so, as you say, it's continuing to sow division and not really helping or even starting a conversation where we can talk about these things. It was simply a way to, I mean, because you know you're going to agitate the other side when you wear that shirt. That's
again, notice Christian's expression here. Now he's right until Christian pushed back on it, but he's right. And secondly, Candace Owens has no inclination for unity. That's not what she's about. She's not about truth. She's not about unity. So again, at best here, you have Christians foolishly trying to conflate spiritual issues with worldly issues. That's at best. And I'm not convinced that they're doing that because they have enough information to know what is right and what is wrong. And they choose the other. They don't choose truth. They don't choose what is right.
really what it was about, agitating people, and it worked. I mean, my social media feeds.
So again, he just said something that is true. It is absolutely right what they're saying. Okay, let's continue.
Felt some type of way about it. I was somewhat indifferent about it. I viewed it as a marketing thing and nothing more. But other people are emotional about it, and they got what they wanted. They got the attention they wanted.
Yeah, I think so much of
there's a lot of positive sentiment here in the comments for what they did, and
that's cool. I can just disagree. You know what I mean?
I don't have clarity about why you're disagreeing. That's where I'm struggling.
I think I did.
Did you just hear that? Now, at this point, what I want to do, I'm going to introduce another clip. because I want to address Krista's thing. She says, I don't have clarity. Now, let me introduce something right now. This clip here. Let me introduce this clip. Krista, who is a white lady, okay? And what I have found over the years is that the seeds of racism that have been sown into this nation affect even Christians, white Christians. So that Krista, who is a professed Christian, is not reacting according to the Bible. She's not reacting according to one who is a member of the body of Christ. She is reacting as a white person. And keep this in mind, you're going to hear her say that. In other words, she doesn't say, and you know, as a Christian in Christ, I don't understand why we don't have unity. We're all, you know, one, God made of one blood of all nations, and then also we're all saved by the blood of Christ. None of that comes up. White, you're going to see her whiteness triggered, okay? And what I'm going to show this video here, because what I'm going to show you is white people in America has always thought this way. And let me be clear to say, some white people, not all, but some. I'm saying this because what you're going to notice, they use the all-inclusive white people. Okay, so in context, I'm not criticizing that. But I want to be sure that when I say this, some white people, racist white people, racist white Christians, they've always said this. So let's look at this clip here.
We begin with white attitudes that underline the racial problem. The white of today is being asked.
Now, again, this clip was, this interview, this show was done in the 60s, the late 60s. So in other words, they're talking about how white people thought in the late 60s, which would have been just 4 years, 3 to 4 years after the Civil Rights Bill passed. Now, pay attention.
Asked to answer for history. This Midwestern housewife, like a lot of white Americans, does not racial problem. The white of today is being asked to answer for history. This Midwestern housewife, like a lot of white Americans, does not think the Negro should present history's bill to her.
We hear so much about the slavery. 300 years ago, our grandfathers were slaves, or 200 years ago, our grandfathers were slaves. Well, for God's sakes, did we have anything to do with that? I had no part in it. I had no slaves. My folks didn't. My grandparents didn't. Are they blaming us for what happened 3 years ago? Let's forget the past. Think of the future. Build up the future. And why keep hemming and hawing over the same thing over and over and over again? And they say, you must give me land because my grandfather was a slave. Well, then I would say, for God's sakes, find the man who had your grandfather as a slave and then demand the land from him. Don't bother me because I had no part of it.
Few.
And no, you was not watching Fox News. Okay. He wasn't watching Fox News. That was from, again, around 1968, 1969. Okay? Now, so keep that in mind. And she said 3 years. That meant you go back to 1965 with the passage of the Civil Rights Bill, which they were upset over. You see, the problem here, which is a shame, is that, again, you listen to what she says, and you listen to a lot of evangelical whites, conservative whites, exact same, almost word for word. It is really just word for word what they're saying back then, how they felt, how they denied the reality of race. And remember, this was in the 1960s. And she's like, problem? What problem? It ain't our problem. And you see that what Monique is defending, that's what she's defending, because we're going to see it is manifested in Christus triggering. All right, guys, we're going to pick it up in part 2 next time. And we're going to, because, again, I'm going to unpack this thing because it is amazing. But look, don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. I would love to even dialogue with you on this, sensibly, of course. Remember, all comments are welcome. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in part 2 of Unpacking Black People Defending White People. Is this biblical unity? No.